This is the Washington Redskins have done it again. We talked about a couple episodes ago how the Washington Redskins are now expected to change their name. It had a racist background to it, and it was just time for them to make a name change. What I said was that I think Dan Snyder, who's the owner of the Washington Redskins, should take advantage of this. They've been a shitty, miserable franchise for as long as I can remember. They should use every single excuse they now have to change the name, start over, clean the slate, start fresh. That's what the Redskins should be doing, no doubt about it. I think it's an absolute no-brainer. Now, a couple names that got thrown out there was the Washington Gladiators, the Washington Warriors, I heard, the Washington Knights. Some pretty good names. Couple names that I really like here that you could really get behind. You have a chance to totally rebrand and change the face of your franchise. Don't f this up. But what do the Washington Redskins do in typical Washington Redskins fashion? This is what we get from ESPN.com that I wake up to today. Washington NFL team to use Washington football team for 2020 season. That is what the Redskins decide to rebrand as. They just said, fuck it. Name it the Washington football team. Effective immediately. This is from Adam Schefter. Of course it is, because Adam Schefter doesn't sleep. This guy just pumps out blogs for ESPN. He's on your TV all the time. Please, let the Adam Schefters of the world, the Mel Kipers of the world, sleep for once, ESPN. But here's Schefter at 9:20 in the morning. Effective immediately, Washington will call itself the Washington football team, pending the adoption of a new name. The team will continue the process of retiring the former name and hopes to be entirely rid of it on physical and digital spaces in the next 50 days by the September 13 regular season opener against the Philadelphia Eagles. That's what Dan Snyder... It's like Snyder said, you know what? I'm sick and tired of this. I'm tired of trying to think of a name. Just call it the Washington football team. So that's what the great people of Washington, D.C. now have to get behind. The Washington football team. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. It's like the New York Yankees deciding to call themselves that team from New York. Oh yeah, I really hope that team from New York wins today. Are you talking about the Mets? No, that other team from New York. Could you imagine if other franchises pulled this shit? The kind of hell that would break loose from them. Only the Washington Redskins could get away with this. That's unbelievable. It's like the Redskins always said, how can we fuck up this franchise even more? How could we make it even more boring than it already is? We have no running back. We have no quarterback, no offensive line, nobody to put fans in the seats. Let's just make it even worse. Let's make this franchise even more boring and just call it the Washington football team. Could you imagine if McDonald's changed their name to that place that sells hamburgers? That's kind of the vibes. That's kind of the vibes I'm getting from here. You know, let's go to a place that sells hamburgers. Imagine that. The lack of leadership these guys have is just fascinating. It's like International House of Pancakes, IHOP, changing to International House of that place that sells pancakes. You know, what a dull team. You talk about setting your team up to go 2-14. The Washington football team. I can't get enough. They could not have fucked this up anymore. Do you expect anything less out of the Washington? Now, not the Washington Redskins, the Washington football team. Folks, there's some things you just can't script. This you definitely can't. Dan Snyder, you never cease to amaze me. Good luck to the Washington football team and the great people of Washington, D.C.